NG. Guys, please stop. Here, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna re-paste the link in case somebody comes back. Or somebody comes by and wants to pick one. Okay, time to try reading without glasses because Haley thinks this is fun. Then Pelinal spoke again for the last time. Beware, Morithaus, beware. With the foresight of death, I know now that my foe yet lives. Bitter knowledge to take to my grave. Will Sarah be number 6? That is true. Better that I had died, believing myself the victor. Although cast beyond the doors of night, he will return. Be vigilant. I can no longer shield the host of men from Umaril's retribution. Alicia's youth during the slave years. What a fun team you guys have made for me. Seraph's original tribe is unknown, but she grew up in Sard, anon Sardavar lead, where the Aelids herded in men from across all Niben, Kothri, Needy, Algemba, men of Creeth. Sasha, I can't lose the glasses more. Dude, okay. No, I need them. These were later known to be imported from the north. Keptu, men of Gi, who were eventually destroyed when the Flower King, Niliki, made great sacrifice to an insect god named Lostjay, Alberid, men of Ket, others. But this was Kairod, the heart of the Imperatum Saliak, where men knew no freedom, even to keep family or choice of name except in secret. And so, to their alien masters, all of these designations were irrelevant. No, because my sister's doing something right now. She's not gonna do it. Who's more Pog? Indeed. Velma, dude. Velma's way better than Daphne. Okay, I'm gonna put my glass back on at 10:30. Men were given over to the lifting of stones and the draining of the fields, and the upkeep of temple and road, or to become art fortunes. Art tortures. Wow, that's way different. For strange pleasures, as in the wailing wheels of Vindasal, and the gut gardens of Sursen, and the flesh sculpture. What the fuck? Yo, guys, what do you think a gut garden or a flesh sculpture looks like? Which was everywhere among the slaves of the Aelids in those days. Or worse, the realms of the Fire King head hole, where the beginning of drugs drawn from the admixture of daedrons into living hosts let one inhale new visions of torment, and children were set aflame for nighttime tiger sport? Yo, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I too set children aflame for nighttime tiger sports. Morehouse explains Alicia's names. Carnegie School. When Morehouse said to them, "In your tales you have many names for her," Alesh, given to her in awe, that when translated sounds like a redundancy, the High, from which comes the more familiar corruptions, Elishut, Esha, Alicia. You knew her as Paravant, given to her when crowned first of its kind, by which the gods meant a mortal worthy of the majesties that is killing, questing, healing, which is also Paraval. Oh, Daraval, Devesh, Darathu, Darif, and in my case, for it is what I called her when we were lovers, Daravanya. Though she is gone to me, she remains bathed in stars, first Empress, Lady of Heaven, Queen Ut Kairod, and they considered themselves full answered, and departed. Well, this book is done. Let us read Amulet of Kings by Wenengris Monhona. Do I have a good Pokemon emulator for PC? Depends what console you want to play. Because I have one for GameCube. I have one for... Yeah, dude, Desmume is like one of the best emulators. Well, I think it's the best DS emulator, and it's one of the best. Yeah, dude. If you want, don't even go downloading it. After the stream, I'll send you the file for... It's downloadable. I'll send you the file for Desmume, and I'll send you uh a platinum file um that has nothing changed. It's platinum, but Pokemon that evolve by trade, which you can't do in an emulator, um, you can evolve. So Pokemon that evolve by trade holding an item, I think you just use the item on them, and Pokemon that just evolve by trade, like Machoke or Graveler, will evolve by level up. Cool? Dope. In the first years of the First Era, a powerful race of elves called Aelids, or the Heartland High Elves, ruled central Tamriel with an iron hand. The high and haughty Aelids relied on their patrons, the treacherous Daedra lords, to provide armies of Daedra and dead spirits. With these fearless magical armies, the Aelids preyed without mercy upon the young races of men, slaughtering or enslaving them at their whim. So now we're learning about these. On behalf of the suffering human races, Saint Alicia, the first in line of the Kyradiles, sought the aid of Akatosh, the dragon god of time, and ruler of the noble Aedra. Akatosh, looking with pity upon the plight of men, drew precious blood from his own heart and blessed Saint Alicia with this blood of dragons, and made a covenant that so long as Alicia's generations were true to the dragon blood, Akatosh would endeavor to seal tight the gates of oblivion, and deny the armies of Daedra and undead to their enemies, the Daedra-loving Aelids. In token of this covenant, Akatosh gave Alicia and her descendants the Amulet of Kings and the eternal dragon fires of the Imperial City. Thus does Alicia become the first gem in the Kyradiilic Amulet of Kings. The gem is the red diamond in the middle of the amulet. This is the symbol of the Empire, later taken as the symbol of the Septim line. It is surrounded by 8 other gems, one for each of the divines. We're still waiting on one person to finalize our team, by the way. So long as the Empire shall maintain its worship of Akatosh and his kin, and so long as Alicia's heirs shall bear the Amulet of Kings, Akatosh and his divine kin maintain a strong barrier between Tamriel and oblivion, so that mortal man need never again fear the devastating summoned hosts of the Daedra lords. But if the Empire should slacken in its dedication to the Dying Divines, or if the blood of Alicia's heirs should fail, then shall the barriers between Tamriel and the Daedric realms fall, and Daedra worshippers might summon lesser Daedra and undead spirits to trouble the races of men. Interesting. Okay, I'm putting my glasses back on. It's been like 20 minutes, and I don't want to get a headache. I am not Alicia's heir because I am not one of the emperors of the empire. Um, Akatosh is a god who can take the form of a dragon. Oh, thank you, Weretag, for the follow. Much appreciated. The Hope of the Redoran by Turiel Nirith. No. Most of these people that I'm talking about aren't in the game. They're just lore. One of the few magical arts of the Sigics of Artaeum have kept to themselves, away from the common spells and schools of Mages Guild, is the gift of divination. Despite this, or perhaps because of it, omens and prophecies abound in Tamriel, some of substance, others of pure folly, and still others so ambiguous as to be unverifiable. There are still other prophecies kept secret, from the prophecies of Dro-Jazad in Elsewhere, and the Nerevarine in Morrowind, to the Elder Scrolls themselves. The Nord nobility have a tradition of having omens read for their children. In general, these readings are of the obscure variety. One of my acquaintances told me that her parents were told, for example, that their daughter would have her life rescued by a snake, and so gave her the name Serpentkin in a special ceremony. And this young lady, Aria Valcor Serpentkin, was indeed saved by a snake many years later, when an assassin, creeping on her, stepped on a sandworm viper. A sandsworm viper. A dansworm viper? I don't know. Occasionally, omens seem to be almost purposefully misleading, as if Boethia had crafted them as traps. I recall one particularly. Many, many years ago, a male child was born into the house Redoran. It was a very difficult birth, and the mother was delirious and near death by the time it was over. She chanted just as her son came into the world, and she passed from it. Fortune has smiled this day, not frowned. My child will be mighty in mind and in arm. He shall bring hope to the house, Redoran. Neither spell nor blade shall hurt the man, nor illness nor poison cause any harm, sorry. His blood shall never drop on the ground. The boy, named Andis, was indeed extraordinary. He was never ill, and never suffered so much as a scratch all through his childhood. He was also quite intelligent and strong, which, combined with his invulnerability, caused many to call him, after his mother's omen, the Hope of Redoran. Of course, anyone who is called the Hope of uh, the Redoran will eventually develop some taint of impertinence, and it wasn't long before he had enemies. His worst enemy was his cousin Athen, who had borne much abuse at the hands of Andis. Primary among the grudges was that Athen spent had been sent to Rihad to complete his education at Andis's insistence. When Anthon returned from Hammerfell, it was because of the death of his father, who had also been a counselor of the house. Anthon was old enough to take his seat in the council, but Andis claimed the seat as well, saying that his cousin had been gone too long from Morrowind and didn't understand the politics as he did. No, Rehad in Hammerfell, which is Tamriel's equivalent of the Middle East. So yeah, the majority of the house agreed with Andis, wanting to see the hope of Ridoran rise quickly. Anthon exercised his right to combat his cousin for the seat. No one thought he had any chance of winning, of course, but the battle was scheduled to commence the following morn. Andis hoarded and dined and drank with the counselors that night, confident that his place in the house was secured, and the hopeful new dawn of the House of Redden was rising. Anthon retired to his castle with his friends, and his enemies, and his servants he had brought from Hammerfell. Anthon and his friends were discussing the duel morosely, when one of his old teachers, a warrior called Sardi, came into the hall. She had grown quite proud of her student over the years in Hammerfell, proud enough to accompany him across the Empire to his family's lands, and wanted to know why they had so little confidence in his odds in battle. They explained to her Andis's uncommon blessing, and the nature of his mother's omen. If he can't be harmed by disease, poison, magic, and his blood can never be spilled, what hope have I of ever beating him? Cried Anthon. Have you remembered nothing I taught you? Replied Shardi. Is there no weapon you can think of that will slay without blood? Are swords and spears and arrows the only items in your arsenal? Anthon quickly realized the weapon Shardi was speaking of, but it seemed absurd. Not only absurd, but pathetic and primitive. But still, it was the only hope he had. All that night, Shardi trained him in the art and techniques, showing him the various swings and stances her people had developed in Albion Gora counterattacks, feints, and blocks imported from Vokuda, the classic one and two-handed grips for the most ancient weapon in history. The cousins faced one another the next morning, and never had two combatants looked so unevenly matched. Andis's entrance brought a great cheer, for not only was he much beloved as the hope of the Redoran, but as his victory was a foregone conclusion, most wanted him to be in good standing with him. His shining mail and blade drew admiration and awe. By contrast, Anthon drew a gasp of surprise, and only a smattering of polite applause. He appeared costumed and armed like a barbarian. As Shardi had suggested, Anthon allowed Andis to attack first. The hope of the Redoran was eager to finish the battle and take the power he deserved quickly. The blade pushed by Andis's mighty arm slashed across Anthon's chest, but shallowly. Before it could be counterswung, Anthon knocked it back with his own weapon. When Anthon attacked and wounded Andis, the hope of the Redoran was so surprised by being hurt for the first time in his life, he dropped his sword. Why are they fighting? So Andis, right, the hope of the Redoran, had sent Anthon to a different country to be taught. And Anthon came back only when his father died. His father was part of the council of their family, and Anthon was old enough to take his spot. But Andis was like, "Well, you've been gone for so long, you don't know the politics like I do. I'm gonna take the spot." And everyone was agreeing with him. So Anthon, by right of the family, challenged him to combat to see who would actually take the spot. So they're fighting. The less said about the end of the battle, the better. Suffice it to say that Anthon, wielding a simple club, battered Andis to death without spilling a drop of blood. Anthon took his father's seat as counselor, and it was then said that the hope and the omen referred to Anthon, not Andis. After all, had Andis not tried to take the counselor seat away from his cousin, Anthon, being not very ambitious, might have never tried to get it. It can certainly be argued that way, I suppose. Clubs are sick weapons. Hold on, how big is this book? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, 20 pages. And this one, okay, we'll read this one. Um, and then I think we'll call it a night. We are still missing one Pokemon. Hold on. I don't know, dude. I messaged the group chat. We'll see what happens. Here, I'll message my sister also because she said she thought it could be fun. Okay, I think Matthew's gonna take it. I need some water. So now we're gonna read The Wild Elves by Kirjo Chorvak, and I think then we're gonna call it a night. Okay. So yeah, so far we have Butterfree, Ditto, Dugong, Parasect, and Ninetales. Um, Actually, Sasha, you don't need any HMs in this game, I don't think. And um, if I do, I'll catch like if I need somebody for Fly, or if I need somebody for Surf, before I get like if I need somebody for Fly, because so far I don't have a Pokemon that can fly, I'll catch like a Pidgey. If I need somebody for Surf so I can get my Dugong to teach it Surf, I'll catch like a Tentacool or something, right? Like it's not a big deal. Um, or like I'll grab the I think I'll be fine. I don't think I need to worry about that. All right, so now let's read this book, The Wild Elves. In the wilds of most every province of Tamriel, descended philosophically, if not directly from the original inhabitants of the land, are the Aelids, commonly called the Wild Elves. While three races of elven stock, the Altmer, or High Elves, the Bosmer, or Wood Elves, and the Dunmer, or Dark Elves, have assimilated well into the new cultures of Tamriel, the Aelids and their brethren have remained aloof toward our civilization, preferring to practice the old ways far from the eyes of the world. The Wild Elves speak of a variation of old Cyrodiilic or Kildilic, opting to shun Tamrielic and separating themselves from the mainstream of Tamriel, even further than the least urbanized of their elfin cousins. In temperament, they are dark-spirited and taciturn, though this is far from though this is from the point of view of outsiders, or Delani in their tongue, and doubtless they act differently. All right, Matthew, our team, would you like to know our team so far? So if that influences your choice. Okay, so far we have Cornbread, the Butterfree. We have Benji, the Parasect. We have Fluffy Tail, the Ninetales. We have Bing Bong, the Dugong, and we have Control C, the Ditto. So take your pick, and I'll add it to the list, and that'll be it. Yeah, Benji picked that one. Also, you got to use the channel points, Matt. It's okay, Sarah. I think Matthew is making the last decision. Okay, I closed it for now. All right, Matthew, what is your choice? I'm gonna keep reading while So, Matthew, take your Pokemon and give it a name. Yeah, there you go. Indeed, one of the finest sages of the University of Gwilym was a civilized Aelid elf, Turbane Fear, whose published work on wild elves suggests a lively, vibrant culture. Fire is one of the very few Aelids to speak freely on his people and religion, and he himself said that nature of the Aelid tribes is multi-hued, their personalities often widely different from their neighboring tribes. Like any alien culture, wild elves are often feared by the simple people of Tamriel. The Aelids continue to be one of the greatest enigmas of the continent of Tamriel. They seldom appear in the pages of written history in any role, and then only as a strange sight as a chronicler stumbles upon before they vanish into the wood. When probable fiction is filtered from common legend, we are left with almost nothing. The mysterious ways of the Aelids have remained shrouded since before the First Era, and may well remain so for thousands of years to come. Alrighty, I think that's a good enough place to stop as any for Skyrim so far. I'm gonna save. We're gonna quit to desktop, and as soon as Matthew picks the sixth Pokemon, I'll give a run through of the team, and we'll continue. Well, not continue. We'll start off with Let's Go Pikachu on Sunday, and we'll play that. We'll finish it. I don't know how much of the post game I'm gonna do. Probably not a whole lot, but I'll do some of it, and once we're done, we'll come back to Skyrim and finish it up. Or well, not finish it up, definitely not. We're gonna continue Skyrim, and let's you'll just have to wait and see on Sunday, my dude. Can't give any spoilers. Yeah, I mean it's a mainstream Pokemon game. The main difference is the catching mechanic and how you catch Pokemon in that game. So as opposed to just pressing buttons, it uses motion controls and the Pokemon Go mechanics of catching Pokemon. So you don't fight wild Pokemon as much or at all. You just catch them. All right, Matthew, give it to me. What is the sixth and final member of the team? Boom Splosion, the Electabuzz. Boom Splosion isn't Boom Splosion what you used to name your Exploud when we were playing competitive? Um, yeah, I got you. Okay, I'm just gonna double check. I'm like 90% sure I know where Electabuzz is found, and it's in the power plant. Yeah. Alrighty. So I did make fun of you for it because it sounds stupid, in my opinion. But if you like the name, Fair enough, Matthew. Fair enough. So, from looking at this team, Brock is gonna suck to fight because I'm gonna have a Butterfree and that's it. Misty's gonna be okay because I'm gonna have Butterfree, Parasect, or Paris probably won't have evolved, and a Ninetales. Surge, same. Surge is probably gonna be fine. Like I'm gonna be stuck with three Pokemon up until I beat Koga. In which case, like then I can go get Electabuzz and and Dugong, and then before I fight Blaine, I can get Ditto. I apologize, Effie. It is too late for that. Six people have already given the Pokemon that they want me to use and the name of said Pokemon. I'm sure. I think I'm gonna do a similar thing for the next time I play through a game, a Pokemon game, because I think I know which two I'm gonna do for the next two breaks between Skyrim. No, I'm not gonna make a bench squad. But I'm not even using the starter, Matthew. Like the Pikachu's literally just gonna be in my box the whole time. All right, have a good night, Effie. What a fun team that's gonna be. Alrighty, I think I'm gonna call it a night there, guys. Today it was a fun stream. I enjoyed this very much, and we're set up for next time. So on Sunday, I guess I'll see you guys for some Let's Go Pikachu gameplay. We're gonna start. We'll see how far we get, and I'll catch y'all then. Peace.